Almost 7 miles beneath the waves, the ocean stops behaving like the ocean. There's no light here. There hasn't been any for over a mile. The water sits just a few degrees above freezing, and it's pressing in from every direction with the weight of about 8 tons on every square inch. That's enough to crush a steel submarine like an empty can. By every rule we know, nothing should be alive down here. Under this kind of pressure, the proteins inside a living body are supposed to simply stop working. Cells should collapse. A creature should fold in on itself. And yet, something just moved. This is the Hadal zone, the deepest 5% of our ocean, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. Today we're going all the way to the bottom, nearly 36,000 feet straight down, and we're going to meet the animals that, by everything biology tells us, shouldn't be there at all. To understand why these creatures are impossible, you have to understand the descent. At 650 feet, the last of the warm light is gone. By 3,000 feet, you're in permanent black. A darkness so total, your eyes are useless. This is where most people think the ocean ends. It doesn't. It keeps going down and down, past the wrecks, past the deepest a whale can dive, past the point where the pressure alone would kill almost anything you've ever seen. Around 20,000 feet, you cross into the Hadal zone proper. And the first thing that should shock you is that there's anything here to see at all. But there is. Life didn't just survive down here. It adapted in ways that look almost like science fiction. Let's start with the one that broke a world record. In 2022, a team led by deep-sea scientist Alan Jamieson dropped baited cameras into the Minderoo-UWA Trench off Japan. At 8,336 meters, more than 5 miles down, the camera caught a small, pale fish drifting calmly past the lens. It was a snailfish, and it became the deepest fish ever filmed in history. Look at it, and it doesn't look tough. It looks like the opposite. Soft, translucent, almost like a tadpole made of jelly. But that's exactly the secret. The snailfish has no scales. Its skeleton is partly unfinished, kept soft and flexible. Even its skull is incomplete, left open so the crushing water can flow straight through instead of caving it in. It has no swim bladder because at this depth, a pocket of gas would be instantly flattened. Instead, its body is loaded with a gel-like tissue that helps it stay buoyant and keeps its cells from being squeezed to death. A fish that thrives where steel implodes. That alone should be impossible. But the snailfish is only the beginning, because just below it lies a hard line that no fish on Earth can cross. Here's something almost no one knows about the deep ocean. There is a depth beyond which fish physically cannot exist. Not haven't been found. Cannot exist. The limit sits at roughly 8,200 meters, and the reason is a single molecule. Every fish in the sea carries a compound called TMAO. It works like a chemical scaffold, propping their proteins up against the pressure. The deeper a fish goes, the more of it they need. But there's a ceiling. Around 8,200 meters, a fish's body would need so much TMAO that its cells would become saltier than the seawater around them, and water would start flooding in until the animal essentially poisons itself. That's why our record-breaking snailfish at 8,336 meters is living right on the knife's edge of what a vertebrate can do. So, past that wall, the fish vanish. The sharks, the eels, every backboned animal, gone. You'd expect an empty, dead desert for the last 2 miles to the bottom. You'd be wrong, because something else is down there, and there are a lot of them. They're called amphipods, and the one that rules the very bottom of the Mariana Trench is a pale, shrimp-like creature named Hirundellea gigas. Drop a piece of bait at 36,000 feet and wait. Within minutes, they swarm, hundreds of them, boiling up out of the dark to strip it clean. They live where no fish can follow, from about 6,800 meters all the way down to the deepest point in the ocean. And how they survive is genuinely strange. These animals eat sunken wood and plant scraps that drift down from the surface world, something almost nothing else can digest, using a special enzyme in their gut to break it down. Some have even been found with a thin layer of aluminum-based gel coating their shells, like homemade armor against the crushing dark. They are tiny, relentless, and perfectly built for a world that should be lethal. But not all of them stay small. Down here, there's a phenomenon scientists call deep-sea gigantism, where animals that are normally small grow to bizarre sizes. The supergiant amphipod is the poster child. Its shallow water cousins are the size of a grain of rice. This thing can grow to over a foot long. a crustacean the length of your forearm cruising through near-freezing black water. We still don't fully understand why it happens. The cold slows their metabolism and lets them grow slowly over many years. The pressure may change how their cells build. Food is scarce, so a bigger body that can store more energy and travel farther may simply win. Whatever the reason, the deep takes our expectations and inflates them into something monstrous. And then there's the creature that isn't even an animal in the way you'd think. Scattered across the floor of the trench are delicate, sponge-like structures the size of your hand. They look like crumpled flowers or strange, fragile sculptures. Each one is a single cell. They're called xenophyophores, giant single-celled organisms among the largest single cells known to exist anywhere on Earth, and some of the deepest complex life ever recorded. A creature with no brain, no organs, no body in the normal sense, just one enormous cell, quietly building itself out of the mud and minerals at the bottom of the world. They carpet parts of the trench floor by the hundreds, forming a kind of city that shelters the amphipods and worms living between them. An entire ecosystem balanced on top of single cells almost 7 miles beneath the sun. And then, finally, you reach it. The bottom of the Challenger Deep, the deepest point in the ocean. 10,935 meters, about 35,876 feet down. Round it up, and you get the number in our title, roughly 36,000 feet. The pressure here is over 1,000 times what you feel right now. The temperature hovers near freezing. The darkness is absolute and eternal. And life is everywhere. Translucent sea cucumbers inch across the silt, vacuuming up the dust of the dead. Worms thread through the mud. Amphipods drift past single-celled giants. A whole living world, thriving in the one place on Earth that should be empty. But when humans finally reached this exact spot in 2019, we did find one thing that truly shouldn't exist down there. A plastic bag. We have explored less of our own deep ocean than we have the surface of Mars. And already our trash got there first. The creatures of the Hadal zone aren't impossible. They're proof that life is far more stubborn and far stranger than the rules we wrote for it. They found a way to live where physics said they couldn't. And most of them we only discovered in the last few years. There is so much more down there we haven't even seen yet. If this took you somewhere you'd never been, subscribe. Because next time we're going back into the deep to find the things science still can't explain.